You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of AddSpace. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman, but with me, the actual host, the CEO, CFO, owner, proprietor, lead therapist, head artist, social media maven, lead therapist, and travel czar. Excuse me?
You said lead therapist twice.
Oh, you're also backup therapist and travel czar.
No!
And travel czar. You are the travel czar.
No.
I don't know why you reject this particular occupation. You coordinate travel all the time. You say things like, oh, I'm not going to be able to be here at this moment. I'm on the bus. Or I go, hey, Bacon, give me a second. I'm in traffic. And you go, okay, cool. Like, is that not coordinating traffic? Is that not coordinating travel?
No, that's not coordinating travel, Aaron.
That's literally and like, who else am I telling? I only tell you this because you're the travel czar. It's such an odd thing. It's such an odd thing. Like, do you have an issue with like authority? Like, it's fine if you have an issue with being the authority figure.
Wait, did you just ask me if I have an issue with authority?
I know, but like an issue with being the authority figure. Like, it's no shame.
Also, yes.
Okay, well.
Fuck authority.
Listen, I honestly, look, we're gonna have to talk about it because you have a natural talent for travel coordination, as I described just now. So it's something that we need to look into.
I can't even manage my own travel.
You manage it successfully. You say,
no, I don't.
Aaron, I'm here, and now I'm back home and I'm tired.
Okay. Also, I have a random question. So I just noticed now we always say good afternoon, but we don't always record in the afternoon. Sometimes we have early morning recording, sometimes it's evening. Why is it always afternoon? What about time zones, Aaron?
If we begin this conversation, this is a multiversal time wibbly wobbly thing. So I like to, and this is a personal thing, since you asked, we are answering this. I like to essentially appear as though I am appearing at noon at any day you want to listen to this show. I am always here at noon. That is why at 12:30, noon to 12:30 in my head, if we were funded by like Amazon or some other soulless corporation and we were on every day, I would want to be on at 12:30 and help people murder their lunch break for 90 minutes every day. So I say good afternoon intentionally, just as in my head, the fictional, overwhelmingly successful, extremely divisive, Amazon-funded AddSpace airs at 12:30 p.m. Monday to Friday.
That's one of the most reasonable things you've ever said, which doesn't match this podcast. But thank you. And with us, we have a special guest today. My GM for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and various other games at this point. Also, player in Lancer. And Aaron, do you have additional titles? Because you're better at this than me.
In script, in my notebook, it says professional Dungeons & Dragon content creator and professional dungeon master, Neo Soul God. That's what it says in my notes here. So that is
excellent. Neo, hello.
Sup? I was gonna do my entire spiel when I go on to like my streams and stuff, but I was just like, meh.
It's Sunday, homie.
Yeah, it's Sunday. We're vibing. This is a chill space. Yeah. We here.
I'm very glad to be here, though.
I'm so psyched. I've just been like, need Neo. Now, I'm sad that we couldn't have Justin here. It didn't work out. There was a miscommunication on time. Nobody's fault. But I was really excited to have Justin here because Justin is a Yu-Gi-Oh nerd. I mean, Justin's just a giant nerd in general. But I really wanted the Yu-Gi-Oh nerd to meet the other new Yu-Gi-Oh nerd and to talk new Yu-Gi-Oh bullshit.
You didn't have to do me like that. You didn't even have to like do that to me. Yeah, I play Yu-Gi-Oh. So Big Whoop want to fight about it? Like
No, Yu-Gi-Oh is the card game of Negroes everywhere.
Can we talk about that actually?
Like,
Can we talk about how if I had the opportunity, I'd send niggas to the Shadow Realm at any point, all the time, and your move is literally how I end everything that I do. I flush the toilet. Your move, toilet.
this is why I needed you to meet Justin, because I needed you to be toxic Yu-Gi-Oh players at each other. That is the entire goal I had.
You right about it. Okay.
It's fine. I will have you on the show again. I will make sure that Justin is here, and then you two can go be toxic at each other, and I can have enjoyment.
The spirit of the program lives on in the Yu-Gi-Oh players right now meeting new Yu-Gi-Oh players. Like the spirit of the show lives on in your interaction, not with each other, but like other people who are coming, who are new to the game as I encounter it more and more. So bless you, and we will have you on to meet Justin. 100%, we will have you on to meet Justin at some point.
There are 3 topics that for people that I require to meet Justin. That's Final Fantasy, Yu-Gi-Oh, and One Piece. And you meet the Yu-Gi-Oh one, and technically the Final Fantasy one, but the Yu-Gi-Oh one was the most important out of that one.
That's sensational. I love that.
It's very important. Anyway, so like I mentioned, I play Dungeons and Dragons. I play currently a lot of tabletop games.
Yeah, you do actually.
Okay, you don't actually know how bad it is. It's pretty bad.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So, about like a year or so ago, one second. About a year or so ago, probably like when I was during Final Fantasy 14 and I was raiding even more heavily than I was raiding now, there was a joke that I was in 17 raid statics because like there was 2 days of the week I was not raiding. And I was in like, there was like on Saturday, I was in like 2 different raid groups. And then I was doing like, not technically a raid, but some other content. So it was just like all day on Saturday was just Final Fantasy high-end content.
That is incredible, Bacon.
I have a problem. But I ended up replacing most of my raid schedule. It's my schedule looks almost identical, except for it's almost all tabletop games right now.
Sensational. Absolutely sensational.
3 of those games are with Neo in them.
3 of them.
I'm saying 3 because Skies of Paradise.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot all about it. It's like
I did not. My Fridays now have more tabletop games.
Jesus Christ.
So
It's like you would think that y'all would be tired of me by this point.
No, want more content, Neo.
Oh my god.
So we like playing games. Games are great. So in How I Met Neo is one of our delightful friends, players, compatriots, fantastic other content creative and all around drags the fuck out of everybody on every social media platform is my homie Az, who will probably also be on the show at some point in time. And that show will be way off the rails. So, and Az was like, okay, listen, I'm in this Curse of Strahd campaign, and I'm going to tell you right now, Curse of Strahd is a module for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and it is garbage. It's hot garbage. It's probably, I'm not going to say it's one of the most problematic things that's come out of there, because there's a lot. But
To be fair, it is the best module, but it is hot garbage.
It is. That's true. It is the best module, and it's hot garbage. These are not mutually exclusive things. It could not be more problematic.
It is extremely fucked up.
It is wild. There's just like every ism you can think of is just like coded into that module. The balancing is bonkers. Yet it still manages to be like the best module.
I guess I
Neo
should explain what a module is first, right? Like before you go into that, maybe.
campaign ish.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
please.
it's like a written campaign for
Yeah.
like official content from like the developers of Dungeons and Dragons. It has like the adventure laid out for the dungeon master to like give to the players. You know what I'm saying? It's instead of being something you make up on the fly, the book tells you, okay, the bad guy is in this room, and this is how you read what's going on in that room, or the setting in general. So yeah, that's what a
Yeah.
module is.
Neo took the cursed Curse of Strahd campaign and decursified it.
Yeah, I rewrote the entire thing from top to bottom.
And Neo also does, and I'm gonna have Neo explain this. Neo runs his games in similar methods as like African storytelling, and also tries to make the games like not just like therapeutic, but like also really takes like what the players need into account for each game. So it really does make the games feel very personal. And also it's listen, a lot of these modules are just like they just scream whiteness. Cis hetero patriarchal whiteness, and Neo's very good at handling these modules in ways that are not.
Screaming is a very apt term, because the way I imagine it is like a motherfucker on top of a like Mount Everest shouting Ricola of whiteness. Like
It's real bad.
It's wild out here, dude.
And a lot of that content is what makes like a lot of people who want to like get into Dungeons and Dragons like really uncomfortable. So they play games and then sit there being like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't really like this. Or like, you know, that deep-seated like not feel great feeling when you're engaging with media content you're supposed to enjoy, but like it's clearly not tailored at you at all in any way, shape, or form. Actually, it's just making fun of you. Which I'm sure we've all experienced here.
Maybe. What makes you think that?
I don't know. Never. Couldn't be me.
Nah,
but
never.
yeah. So I got brought into this game, and that's how I got to encounter Neo and meet Neo. And I have a character, and it's what I look forward to every Wednesday. I look forward to it so much that I started participating in other modules and campaigns that Neo was running, to the point where me and several others bullied him into bringing one back.
I do have to ask. I do have ask is like, how does like the writing process go? Like, cause you said, like I said, it's personal to us as Black people, but then like individual players, but then also you have to like you have to like locate and shave out and like burn out the like horrible like whiteness of it. Right. And it's just
actually like, this is great because Aaron's a secret GM and he doesn't know it. And I want him to one day be a GM and he needs this information.
For sure.
I just find creative processes interesting. And to have a creative process that's always described as warm and personal is always fascinating to me, because a lot of creative folks kind of operate like a laser, like straight through whatever it is they're doing. And whoever, like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So like warm and personal, nigga. Please explain a little bit, a window into the process, please. Just a small one.
So for me, I've ever since I was like super young, I've always had these fantastic ideas in my head and how I wanted to present them. But not seeing people that looked like me in, you know, fantasy, or having, you know, Zach from Power Rangers with his fucked up hairline.
Oh, not the hairline.
Bro, like, go back and watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
No, I'm not looking at it.
No need.
Go back and watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They had bro looking. They had him looking ridiculous every week. Yeah. Bruh's hairline was genuinely a U.
Yeah.
Did nobody line him up any week? And but Tommy's hair was silky smooth every fucking week.
Man, that
But anyway,
product. Yes.
he had a silk press every week, but they couldn't give my man a box line. But seeing people that didn't look like me in these things, save for like the one here and there, and always being supporting, it really discouraged me from creating these stories with people that looked like me. And I don't know, when I first started getting into role-playing games, like tabletop role-playing games and everything, and even like video game role-playing games, the first one I played, the one that I say changed my life, was Final Fantasy X. That really opened my eyes and really made me a fan of role-playing games. But ain't no fucking black folk in it.
Sorry, somebody on Twitter posted the other day to be like, people in the desert look so beautiful. And then it's got like all these white people
Yeah.
across like various genres of desert, and they're all white and
They're all white.
blonde hair.
Absolutely. So ain't nobody in there black. In the Polynesian parallel character is played by Jake the dog. You know what I'm saying? And he does the worst accent ever. Like, what are you doing over there, brother? Like, it's so upsetting to hear Bender Bending Rodriguez call me brother. And so like when I first started getting into tabletop role-playing games, I was always told that I was too, essentially, you know, without words within words, that I was too niggerish to do what I wanted to do in these games and like be the character that I wanted to be, or present the stories that I wanted to tell. And I found when I started writing, and writing the way that I truly wanted to write, that it was healing for me. And I don't know, I feel like I bottled that feeling, and I kind of put that forward and first when I create these games. So when I was looking at Curse of Strahd, and I had played it once before, I looked at all these things and I said, somebody actually sat down and was paid real life money, not Monopoly money, real money, to write this. And there's a particular thing that I'll talk about from Curse of Strahd. There are a group of travelers called the Vistani in this module. And they're trying to create a one-to-one for the Romani people. And they are extremely problematic and harmful, the way that they are portrayed. The Vistani are portrayed as sneaky, every stereotype that you've heard for Romani people, the Vistani are those. And also they work for the bad guy. Also they work for the bad guy, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I saw that one thing and I was just like, is this necessary to be here? No, it's not. And then I started literally trimming the fat and replacing it with things that I felt were healing. And for my writing process specifically, it really is tailored to the players. My games are extremely personal. Before we even go into our first session, we do something called a session 0, which is very common. But my session 0s are very particular how I do them. I have my players fill out a gaming consent form of things that they would not want in the game. And if suppose that thing that they redline exists, it gets trimmed, it's cut, gone, ixnay. So just from that experience alone, it does become more personal, because things that would harm people or trigger that person is no longer there. And I don't know, it's just like I think about how I would want someone to approach storytelling. And it really goes back to my heritage, if I can be honest. It's like being Western African, like um, being like having the spirit of the griot. Um, it's really that's really what it comes down to for me. I don't know if I answered your question at all. To be honest, I have no idea. If I
To
answered
be
your question
clear,
at all.
you answered it in like you answered it so thoroughly that I was like, I've just been like, it is the how do I put it? You've achieved the opposite of corporate rep. I always joke around in the Discord privately about corporate representation being interesting but having clear limits, severely transactional. Still interesting to see all the money happen for it. So it's fascinating to have one individual artist hear you as an individual and tailor an experience for your safety specifically without having to question it. Because a lot of time, like I said, a lot of our media comes from people who are disingenuous. They're corporations. They're just not our friends. It is what it is. So for it to be genuinely friendly and warm and protective is, like I said, now I understand where you're getting harassed and bullied. Like that was like in this explanation. Now I understand why people are following you around and jamming you up. Like you can't. Like I get it now. I would also harass again if that was the case. I would also harass you as well.
Okay, but listen. This module that we were harassing Neo about, and Neo completely built this up themselves, like totally built it up. It's called Skies of Aranis. It's extremely steampunk. We're a bunch of sky pirates. We also have like every single member of our group is made of chaos. Like every single member of this group. Aaron, Nandi's in it.
Oh. I mean.
Aaron's very good friends with Nandi.
Nandi, we love you. That response kind of was like, wow. Nothing but love for you, sweetheart. Love you.
I love yeah. So every single one of us who participates in this campaign, we're each individually just beings of chaos, but in entirely different ways that also work really well together. And so we were a group of sky pirates. And Neo allowed and made room for endless shenanigans while also weaving the most beautiful storytelling. The way that it ended was so gorgeous, especially considering that fact that we had so many goddamn mermaids. It was definitely one of those. I'm like, clearly this was a lineup thing that happened. I'm like, I see what you did there. More on the tailoring the story to the players. And
How many people played mermaids in that game?
There's like 4 of us.
It's like it was like six player party, right? And I feel like 4 of y'all were mermaids.
Yeah, because it was me, Aya, Sunny, and Nandi, and we were each different mermaids. Because I played an orca born mermaid because I saw the thrash and I went, yes, fuck them yachts. So let me explain really quick. Neo also makes custom classes and races, and Neo made a mermaid race, and there is an existing mermaid class in Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm gonna tell you it sucks.
It's trash.
It's real garbage.
It is cheeks.
It's not good. And
I think they're called Triton.
Yes, they're called Triton, and it's so annoying because like, so there's a magic, there's the Magic and Gathering races that they incorporated. And there's actually like some merfolks from that. And then they base the Triton kind of off of that, but they're worse.
Significantly.
It's really garbage. And so Neo made a new mermaid race and then gave them each sub races. And the sub races are where it really shines. And I chose, of course, an orca born because there was this specific skill called thrash, and I looked at it and I went yachts.
I gave them that feature because at the time Orca were sinking yachts. Where were they doing it at? But they were just like beating the crap out of yachts and sinking them
They're
somewhere.
still
And I was
doing it, by the way.
they're still doing it.
They have not stopped. I've been following the yacht carnage. The orcas are still fucking up boats.
To go further into Skies of Varanus, and that came about because one of my friends, Sonny. Hey Sonny, if you're listening to this.
I love you, Sonny.
Was telling me about this other tabletop role-playing game called 7th Sea. And it's very much a swashbuckling adventure. You think of like if Pirates of the Caribbean was a role-playing game, it would be this game, 7th Sea. And I was like, looking at it, I one of our mutual friends gave me like the rule book for it, and I read it and I was obsessed. Like, this sounds fun. What if I could take some of this stuff into Dungeons and Dragons, which is my comfort game. I play many other role-playing games, but it's just my comfort game. The one that I've spent the most time, running and creating content for. And I was like, I kind of want to do this. And Sonny said, I want to play a swashbuckling game so bad. And I said, I'll be back. 72 hours later, I had a 17-page lore document for a setting that I had created just from that conversation, about a world covered in water and these floating cities called bastions, and that people sail in their airships from these cities, and skies of Varanus. That's how that happened.
Every single sky pirate, anything you can think of, there I can definitely, and I eat all of it. Has a little shout out in that 17-page campaign. It is the nerdiest shit I've read in my life, and it is glorious.
And on God, though, like, had I had seen Treasure Planet any earlier than like 2 months ago, I saw Treasure Planet for the first time like 2 months ago.
I love Treasure Planet with all of my body.
First of all, we don't talk about that movie enough. Like, I am 31 years old. That movie came out when I was probably in single digit age. I don't remember when it came out, but I remember the trailers for it. Like, Skies of Aranis would have never fucking ended. Like, had I seen Treasure Planet, okay, so I hate to say this, it's about myself, because the Skies of Aranis document was 17 pages specifically after I finished writing that weekend. After watching Treasure Planet, the Skies of Aranis document is now 64 pages. And I'm just like, how did this happen? So, like, it is very much, I don't know, it's my baby now. Like, I just I've written all kinds of settings. I have one game that I actually run on Twitch, called Hillard University, which is a historically black college magic school, like a historically black magic college game.
The way I'm waiting for an opening so I could get in on that one and fuck up my schedule even more.
I've been thinking about like running another game of that too, but because I went to an HBCU. I went to the Tennessee State University, often imitated, never duplicated, the land of golden sunshine here in Knoxville, Tennessee, home of the Grammy Award winning aristocrat of bands. So, being brought up in HBCU culture, and like, that is something that does not exist in the fantasy role playing game space. You know what I'm saying? Like I want it. I would say that I would wrestle a bear. I wouldn't actually do it because I'm a nigga. But I would say that I would wrestle a bear if you told me that if I said that, I would get to play in a historically black college setting for a role playing game. But yeah, skies of fairness, Bacon. I'm sorry, you were saying.
Nope. I just want it to be known why Neo was bullied into extending the campaign, because we all have needs here, and
Jesus.
Neo needs to answer, can't just give us a absolutely bonkers like swashbuckling adventure and then just end that bitch. It does not work.
I thought it had a good ending. I thought it had a really good ending.
Neo, it had a great ending, but adventure is never over when you're a sky pirate.
Blood in, blood out, huh?
Blood in, blood out, my
Right.
G. Like, I don't know why. I don't even know how you thought that we were not going to bully you about that. We've been making in the group chat since it ended. There's just been sad faces and crying.
Yeah, there's actually like like you scroll for a little bit and there's just like sad gifs over and over and like sad emojis and everything.
4 months.
For months, yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten DMs from Nandi being like, I miss you.
Y'all get on my nerves.
I'm like, I miss you too, Nandi. And Savi came in and was just like, I need the gang back together. And I was sitting here going like, I miss Phil. Every time I do a crit on a history check or an investigation check, I'm just like, Phil, without you.
To give context to that, we had a player that was just himbo personified in character.
My himbo in arms.
Yeah, he was he was a lot of fun, but he was like a noble of some kind. And he had really bad like brain stats. But he would just roll very, very well. It would just himbo his way into all the lore and all the secrets. And yeah,
my favorite is that he was the only one who knew how to read deep speech, and we're like, why do you know deep speech? And he's just like, oh, well, you see, when I was at the university, I took that I took dead languages. And we're just like, I'm like, oh, you're the motherfucker who takes all the philosophy classes and Latin and Greek.
Yeah, that motherfucker. Yeah. Deep speech is the equivalent. Deep speech is the language of things with lots of tentacles and eldritch beings.
Yeah, mind flayers. If you played Baldur's Gate 3, they speak deep speech. Beholders, them giant eyeballs that shoot lasers out of their face. Well, it's just a giant eyeball.
Languages that if you hear them, you just start getting nosebleeds.
Right. Like you're in Call of Cthulhu games, which is another game I'm playing right now. You're like, you lose sanity.
Yeah, you just start going insane hearing this language. That is actually hi, hello in deep speech.
How are you doing? You look lovely today.
Oh, you're so funny. But yeah, like Bacon was saying, like I do write custom things. And like the things that I write, like I try to make them evocative. And what I mean when I say that is that I really want you to feel, I don't know, excited reading some of the things that your character could potentially do, or the stories that you can create just from each thing. Like Bacon was talking about my orca-born mermaids, like because I gave them sub races of like different undersea fauna. You know, I think there's a shark-born mermaid, and I just gave them rows of teeth, and they can bite people and cause them to bleed, and they can track them easier because their sense of smell for blood is so potent. And for the orca-born, I just made them very, very strong. And I think I have a jellyfish one, even though jellyfish aren't
I was a
technically
jellyfish.
fish. Like I jellyfish are one of my favorite. I think they're one of the most beautiful creatures on earth.
They're so fucking weird.
They're extremely weird.
I love them.
But as long as they are on the other side of the tank, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful on the other side of that damn tank. And then I had just because I thought it would be silly, there's a pufferfish one. And you can just inflate yourself and like to like keep people from getting close to you. Because I thought it would be just silly to be like, oh no, I'm under attack, and just explode out in all these spikes. And I think there was an octopus one too.
Yes, because that's what Nandi plays in
Yeah.
Octopi.
Yeah, because like justice for Ursula, man. Like that bitch should have read the contract, bro. Like I was just like Ursula got a bad rap, and I wanted to give like Ursula her day in the sun. And I can't remember the other mermaids that I had, but all mermaids had the ability to like do a siren song. And there was this really beautiful moment in Skies of Aranis, because this cult had summoned like a living calamity. It's a creature called the Elder Tempest, which is literally a living storm from the elemental plane of air. It is chaos, and it is literally chaos in a storm incarnate. Think of like if a dragon was made of storm clouds. And it was summoned by this cult. And from I don't know, it was probably on the plane of Aranis for like a total of 5 minutes. And there were like 300-foot waves created from this thing. And all the mermaids together, after beating all the cult members and stuff, sang a song to put it to sleep. And
because mermaids get a special song.
Yeah, so they all combine their siren songs together and put this living calamity to sleep. And it was a beautiful moment because the way that I had written the mermaids for that setting was that when Aranis became flooded and the bastions went up, no one knows what created the bastions, the floating cities, but they just became like these arcs for like the people that lived on the surface when the world started flooding. And they literally just went up and saved like humanity. But as a result of the world becoming flooded, the mariners, quote unquote, undersea folk thrived. And I can't remember what it was. I need to go back through the lore document. But the Bastion folk were doing something. Oh, they were using elementals as energy, right?
Yes.
Yes. So they started like summoning like fire elementals to heat their homes and water elementals to like clean their like water, and like all these elementals, summoning these elementals and draining their energy, and their essentially their life force as an energy source. And the world was coming out of balance because of that. So the mariners, a bunch of mermaid folk,
Climate change, bitches.
Yeah, like came up from the ocean to the bastions and said, "Hey, stop it." Like, actually though, y'all are going to destroy everything if you don't stop this. So the world at large has a very special relationship with mariners or mermaid folk, because of how interconnected they are to Aranis and its oceans. But yeah, they were using elementals as like to power airships and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. And that changed as a result of the mermaids. So they had a very special connection to the world at large, and that moment of having those players, like I don't even think that was a thing that I like said was a thing that you could do, because I had just intended for y'all to hop on your airship and fight the Elder Tempest. Like I was ready for this giant brawl over the skies of Aranus with this living storm, but you, in your creativity as players, said, can we combine our siren songs together and try to literally calm this storm? And I was like, you kind of spitting right now. And yeah, and they succeeded, and it was an amazing moment. Okay, I kind of miss Skies of Aranus too. So
Yes, see, I knew it. It's so good. Okay, we're gonna need a timestamp on that, Aaron. I'm gonna need a timestamp so I can just drop that bad bitch in the chat.
I'll never hear the end of that shit.
Give me that timestamp.
I'll never hear the end of it. Quite
you
frankly.
are never hearing. I will actually go make a whole TikTok post on it, because I will. It will be like the one.
The one TikTok post,
huh? Yeah, and that's something like this is something I want to bring up about, and this is what I really appreciate about Neo as a GM and people who, because Neo's not the only GM who does this sort of thing, but Neo's especially good at it. Is that so even though Dungeons and Dragons was like designed as kind of like a war game, that is the purpose of the GM's role is not to murder their players. It is specifically to guide the players through a story as they also do like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. Sure. Like the GM is supposed to guide them along the path, absolutely giving them challenges. But some GMs forget that the game is actually a collaborative play between the GM and the players.
Yeah.
Like that collaboration is extremely important to having a good and enjoyable game. And Neo is so good at that, to the point where he lets his players bully him throughout his campaigns. But it also makes for really good storytelling. Like, I don't know, we just happen to have manifestation and turn an entire lake into holy water.
Oh, damn, I keep forgetting that happened. To give context to that, I wrote a witch class, an entire class for the game. One of the hardest things I've ever done. It's so hard to write brand new classes and make them like have their own identity. Because I feel like when people write classes, they're essentially like another class. Oh, it's the fighter, but extra steps. Like, but to give a class its own identity is very, very hard. And what I wanted to capture with witches, because there are wizards, there are sorcerers, there are druids, but there is no witch, and one who is, I don't know, trying to master the secrets of the occult by communing with the universe itself and unraveling the secrets of, magic that way. There's nothing that really does that, in my opinion. So when I wrote the witch class, I took from like actual witches. Like I actually talked with like probably 10 actual practicing witches today, like in modern witchcraft today, of different cultures and different ilks, different practices to create something evocative. And I gave them the ability, an ability called manifestation. And what manifestation does, I actually have it here. Beginning at the 6th level, you can call upon the universe itself to conspire with you to achieve your goals. Combining your will with the universe requires you to use an action. Describe the assistance you seek and roll percentile dice. If you roll a number equal to or lower than your witch level, the universe manifests your desires. The DM chooses the nature of this manifestation. The effect of any witch spell or witch coven spell would be appropriate. And if the universe manifests these desires, you can't use this feature again for 7 days. And at 20th level, which is the max level in Dungeons and Dragons, your plea to the universe is heeded automatically, no roll required. So our witch, Rudalia, who is a half werewolf individual, is a hearth witch, which are kitchen witches. They really practice their magic through cooking and nurturing and healing others. She goes to the biggest the biggest body of water in the Curse of Strahd campaign.
Which, by the way, is all vampires and werewolves. I just need you to know.
Yeah.
Like, Curse of Strahd campaign is entirely based around, like, all the enemies are undead, vampires, and werewolves. So, like, even people who have no idea what we're talking about know the basis of holy water, undead, werewolves, and vampires. Okay.
So our witch with our friend Az's character in tow goes to the biggest body of water in all of Barovia and sits there and uses a manifestation and wishes that Lake Zarovich would become holy water. And I'm like, aye, my G. Like, because they're like y'all are like level 8. So there was an 8% chance of that happening. So I wasn't tripping. And Rudalia makes a manifestation like every day. Like, it's an 8% chance. I'm not tripping. Roll your D100. Rolls a 1. When I tell you, I am cussing. I am punching the air like I'm mad as hell.
Listen, after the role play part of it was over, which the player who does Rudalia is a literal poet. All they do is just write poetry, and they speak in poetry off the cuff. Like, it's fucking wild. Such a skilled and talented individual, and you know how I feel about the word talent, Aaron. You know I don't believe it exists. No, Moro is just such a fucking skilled writer and skilled poet. Just does this beautiful thing, pulls in Az is fantastic with imagery, also comes up with like all sorts of like beautiful imagery. So like the two do this great scene, and Neo's like, we are taking a break now.
Yeah, I actually needed to walk that shit off.
I will be back when we are back.
So like I didn't put a time limit on that. I said I will take a lap, my nigga. Like, I gotta walk this shit off. Because like as a writer, like as someone who's like trying to create a true world with verisimilitude, meaning that actions have consequences, greater consequences than probably that you can fathom in an immediate instance. I'm thinking about, okay, how is that going to change how the fauna react? Because this is the biggest body of water in this land, and it's holy water now, like pure holy water. Is it drinkable? Sure. Like, if it's holy water, it's pure, right? So it's drinkable. So, okay, how does that change like stags that drink from this lake? How does that change the fish that live in this lake? How does that, like, what the hell have I allowed to happen here? so like that was just, but the moment was so beautiful, Aaron. Like, there was the player Rudalia, like the way that I spun it, I remember it, was like, in this moment, Rudalia, you seek answers from the universe, and you are whisked outside of yourself, past the confines of Barovia, past through the oppressive fog that tries to block your exit. But in this moment, you have all power. You push through it like an open door, and you see the plane of Barovia, and you see another plane nearby that has a man creating a monster, and another person in another place with a circus in tow. But you look through her facade, and she is an angel, splendid and beautiful. And you go beyond the planes and the confines. You see past time and space and see all of creation before you, and have in all this power in this moment. The thing that you request from the universe is, make this lake holy water. And the universe responds, a simple matter. And you are thrown back through time and space and back into your body. And your companions, Aurora Magic, an Aurora Borealis, cascades above the lake and rests upon the water. And the lake is blessed forevermore. Something like that.
It was so beautiful. It was absolutely moving. And I'm gonna say that was definitely one of the more extreme examples, but because it happened like 2 weeks ago, like I can't forget about it. It's also very funny, but there's like other stuff that Neo's done, like even in like the creation of my character, because like I came into the game later. I couldn't decide between two different builds and two different races, and Neo's like we can just like
put them together. Fuck it.
Put them together, and I was like, wait, what? We can do that? We can just break the rules, Neo? Which is funny because I'm a rule breaker. I'm always a rule breaker. I'm like break. Is this a rule? Let's break it. Smash it. Yeah.
These rules ain't paying no damn bills. The fuck?
Right. So I was like, wait, we can do that? I was like more shocked that I was just like my first interaction with Neo was just like, yeah, let's break the rules. And I'm like, you're gonna let me break the rules?
Absolutely.
You're gonna help me break the rules? We can break the rules.
The better question is, can I help you break the rules?
I was so excited. So like now I have this character that's got like half of a Warforged body, and it's turned into like a whole message around like disability, because like I myself am a disabled person, as you all know, and half my body works. And so I made my character, like all the parts of my character that have issues are all the parts of me that have issues. Right. But you know, still has to like function, and still does function, and still has like personal relationships. And it's not, I specifically designed my character with the help of Neo in a way to where like, even though they're still powering through limitations, it doesn't mean that they don't still like experience pain or other things. Like they still have limitations. They just still have to continue. But in that course, Neo has also let me like pick up an apprentice from an irredeemable character.
Yeah. Again, another thing about the Curse of, I mean, it's another testament to Curse of Strahd as a whole. Like many of the NPCs that you'll come into contact with are the fucking worst. Absolutely. They are just absolutely horrible, terrible people. And I understand that the setting of Barovia comes from an old Dungeons and Dragons thing called the Domains of Dread. And they are essentially all the old monster movies as different settings. Like the one that I was describing about a man creating a monster. It's literally the Dr. Frankenstein plane of the Domains of Dread. There's a werewolf domain of dread. There's a like a mummy lord, like oppressing this desert land with no rain or something like that. They're all these different things. So it's supposed to be sad. You're supposed to like feel oppressed by this land. You're supposed to feel that you can't win, which I don't know.
feel like we get
It's-
enough of that in real life.
Yeah, like being niggas, absolutely. So,
God.
like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just maybe, and I don't necessarily play into power fantasies. That's not my deal. If you want to play into power fantasies, there's plenty of video games that allow you to do that. I believe in collaborative storytelling. Like what I tell people I do professionally is like, who don't know what I do. I tell them, yeah, I'm a professional dungeon master. Yeah, I make Dungeons and Dragons content. But to people who know me and how I explain things to people who do what I do or are in proximity to things I do, I say, I am just the facilitator of a story being told. Like, we are telling our stories together. Does most of that storytelling come from me? Yeah, sure. But there are times that I just have to let go. And the story unfolds before me. And I got to adjust. Them improv classes are coming in handy. But,
Hey, yo, improv classes. Okay, I have generic interview question number 387.
yeah.
Okay, what's the favorite thing that you've created? Like characters, race, whatever, because you create so much fucking stuff.
Oh my God. I don't fucking.
I'm like you don't even have to you don't have to pick one.
Okay.
And you don't have to do it in the order in which they're your favorites. Just like stuff that you did that you're like, I did that.
Yeah, sometimes I do look at some things that'll be written. I was like, damn, nigga, I was cooking when I made this.
Right. Like
Especially if I haven't looked at it in quite a while. I was like, wow, this kind of spitting though. But yeah, so the first thing that I would have to acknowledge for sure is I wrote the thing that really launched me into like content creation and really gave me the foothold that I have now was when I wrote a race called Night Skins. And for the unfamiliar, Night Skins came about as a result of Crunchyroll had announced that they were taking the initiative to hire a bunch of black voice actors to voice anime dubs. Just taking the initiative to do that. Nobody asked them to, they were just doing it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But a bunch of people on Twitter with the anime profile pictures didn't like that, obviously. And a lot of racism was said, like just a lot of horrible things. And one guy, I guess he thought he was spitting, said, "Our holy war against the Night Skins will never end. You were unfit to voice our characters, whoop-de-whoop," right? And
you know when racists say something, I'm like, that sounds way cooler than you think it does.
hey, on God, like, so that's collectively as niggas, because we can't take shit seriously.
No, we cannot.
Not a damn thing seriously.
Never.
So they specifically, we collectively were like, Night Skins sound cool as hell, bro. Like that is way too cool to be a slur.
Right?
That's ours now. And I saw a video responding to that original thing saying Night Skins is it's way too cool to be a slur. We like that. It sounds like a race of elves with shadow powers. And I was in the saddest moment of my life. I was like at my one of my lowest points I've ever been in my entire life. And I saw that and had inspiration for the first time in months. And I said, I can do a little better than that. And I sat at a bar in Nashville, my hometown. And I wrote about a race of oppressed Black people that were given the powers of the night sky, blessed by a goddess, and granted the power to save themselves and change their fate, and gave them extended life, and that once per day they could manifest their guardian star or their zodiac sign. So there were 12 different options that you could take that you could manifest that specific sign. For example, the Scorpio option let you manifest a like a constellation of an ethereal scorpion tail that you could use to sting people and poison them. And the Capricorn one granted you like curved ram's horns and let you concentrate on 2 spells at once, which is, according to the rules, impossible to do. But you also had like disadvantage to keep them up. So if you dropped them, you were like lethargic for you couldn't act anymore. So people really liked that. Within the first I don't know, 30 days, no, literally 24 days of that document, well, a 1.5 page PDF being up online for free, I sold 3,500 copies of it. And ever since then, like, I was able to start my professional GMing business. I was able to do the things that I was able to do from that. So Night Skins, first of all, you know, got to give homage to a thing that we created, a thing that I created out of adversity, as we tend to do, really gave me the platform that I have now. And I'm so grateful. So that's first. The next thing that I've created that I really love, besides my witch class, because that's just been a labor of love, honestly. Oh, shit. Honestly, if I could, I think some of the things that I love the most is when I take other ideas and like make them Dungeons and Dragons. So I have a bunch of things that like come from other ideas. Like I have a Way of the Capoeista monk that I worked on with a friend of mine, Mac Epiphany, where it makes capoeira viable for Dungeons and Dragons, and again makes something seen that is African, you know, like from like an African tradition. Like, and I love capoeira so much. I've been doing it since I was very young. And then I have a monk subclass that I call the Way of the Flawless Victory, which essentially lets you make a fighting game character for your D&D game. You can do air combos and juggles and hyper combos.
We stand fighting games here.
I know we do.
No, really. Aaron loves fighting. I'm bad at fighting games. Aaron's great at them. But we love fighting games here.
Absolutely. And then there is
Aaron be playing that one. I already know.
And I also made something called the Order of the Fiend Seeker Blood Hunter. The Blood Hunter class was made by the voice actor Matt Mercer, who also is the dungeon master for Critical Role. I don't really care for it. That's fine. That's probably another visit to
it's okay. Nobody can see my face right now except for you people here. I was just like, listen, everybody asked me, they're like, oh, you listen to Critical Role, and I'm just like, no, I do not. I actively don't like Critical Role. No. Like, actively do not like Critical Role. And I have to explain to people in the gentlest way as possible why I don't like Critical Role.
Because they will be visceral. Like I got one of my videos mass reported by the Critical Role fans. Not fairly recently, but I made the Order of the Fiend Seeker because blood hunters are essentially like witchers with extra steps. And they're really bad at hunting things that aren't like undead or other monsters.
They
They're-
are really bad.
They're very bad at hunting like fiends, devils, and demons. They're so bad at it, actually.
Okay,
So I'm
just play a ranger.
yeah, like they're really bad at unless you're doing very specific edgy things. But I made the Order of the Fiend Seeker because I had just finished Devil May Cry 5. And I was like, but I want to be the storm that is approaching. So it's very much Dante and Virgil from Devil May Cry meets Dungeons and Dragons, and it was a lot of fun to play. You can have a non-copyright infringing Devil Trigger transformation called Fiend Release. Totally different things. Capcom, please leave me alone. I'm broke. Capcom, please.
Ruthless.
Please, Capcom. Also release another Monster Hunter, Capcom, and make it fucking crossplay. We're tired of this bullshit. Anyway, so those are probably some of my favorite things that I've made. Just things that I've had fun making. I think that probably sums it up. I love everything that I've made, but I do have favorites for sure.
It is fascinating, just how much you've made to provide inherently a safe space for folks. And like, I don't know, like you said, it's one thing to want to do it, and it's another to be able to passively do it all the time. And I tell Bacon this kind of like, it's similar. It's not the same thing, but being able to passively create safe spaces for people is a genuine skill that we've lost track of the importance of. And I just really appreciate this, like hearing all of this. That's why I gave you the time, is because like it seemed to be everything you create touches people in a way that provides a sense of like it sees them and therefore provides relief. And that's really quite beautiful. I deeply appreciate it. So now I want to play one of your games now. I want in, but I'll get on the list.
Oh, word?
I'll get it on the
Yes.
list. I'll get it on
Yes,
the
Aaron.
Oh, word?
I'll get it on the list.
Yes.
80 is what's that? What? Huh? ADD space D&D session? What?
I've been trying. I want to record full sessions. Like, I don't even care if it's consistent or not. I
mean, if there is ever time and place, I can help. Like, there are people who want to be a part of a D&D podcast, but the other person who I would want to be DM, my partner Erica, everyone's busy. You're the professional DM, and you're busy, and Erica, like, so it's like, but if there is any way for it to happen, I would absolutely adore it and help in, and like I said, pay for whatever needs to happen.
Erica's another person who needs to meet Neo.
Yes, Erica would
love Neo.
Erica would truly.
Oh.
Actually, I can't.
There
is a production here in Austin. That's all I'll be able to say that actually Neo would slot into, that Erica's a part of, because Erica is doing what Neo is doing, except in a live space.
Word.
Right, like a live, like Erica will tell you, and I will not tell somebody that I'm too black. I will not tell somebody else's news too deep much. It's bad luck. That's bad luck.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel that.
Right. So, but yeah, the connection is there. I appreciate. We're going to move on. Bacon, you're gonna have to move on, because I'm just in awe of just the ability to create space.
I was gonna ask you if you had any specific questions, even like niggerish ones. It's fine.
Oh, me?
Yeah. This is a very on the rails episode, and I'm concerned.
I mean, the problem is it's the sense, it's the relief. It's even hitting me like, am I supposed to act a fool when my man's the homie's telling me stories that are touching me as a black person? Like, I'm just saying, like, it's one of the stories where if it was a show that I had watched, you ever watch an episode of a show that's so impactful that you just do lizard brain stuff for the next 24 to 48 hours?
Yeah,
like, you don't,
actually,
whatever other shows you were watching, whatever other books you were reading, like, I'll watch a show and then I'll just like watch basketball highlights ambiently for 24 hours, or like I'll just play like old shoot 'em ups for 25
Tells
hours.
the bossing say does that for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that clip of that guy just like walking outside in the front yard, just kicking grass,
right?
And just like aimlessly, like, what do I do with my life now, sort of thing.
Right.
Also, that's how I felt when Skies of Awareness ended.
Jesus Christ.
It's like, what do I do with my life now? What with everything's missing? There's a hole here in my heart.
I think that's one thing that I try my best to just like, I don't know. It's not something that I have control over. It's there's so many of us that have been like, the reason why I have a job is because we are actively excluded from these spaces. Like, Tolkien wrote hundreds of pages of books. Not one nigga.
Well, I mean, they're in there, but not in ways we want to talk about.
Exactly. Like, let's like, there's 9+ hours of Lord of the Rings films, right? There's one black person on screen in the Lord of the Rings, and it's an elf for like 5 seconds on screen. That's people don't think that that's harmful, but it absolutely is.
Well, and and like we've talked about this before, especially with like issues, because this was in relation to Final Fantasy 16, is that and while I understand what their reasonings were, I don't agree with their reasonings, and they could have done it like a bazillion times better anyway. Like, there's also this idea that like, so a lot of like high fantasy is based off of like fantasy Europe.
Yeah.
Black and brown people existed in fantasy Europe, like in Europe, like during the time period in which like they're trying to pull from,
they're fantasizing,
that they're fantasizing. Like, yes, they're trying to be like, oh, well, they're pulling from this period. It's like, okay, but there's a really major flaw here, is that there were a lot of black and brown people who existed in those spaces throughout those areas. Like there's a reason, there's a whole part along the Mediterranean that people are what we like to call spicy white. Like, I mean, there's a reason, like there are there historically and have been black and brown people in those regions. They exist. They have existed, and it's just pure erasure otherwise. And then of course there's still also the debate of like, you have fucking magic. Who the fuck cares? There's fucking magic. Like, it's a fantasy area. And so when you're just like, you're both erasing people historically and like erasing, like removing the ability for people to even be creative by homogenizing it so much.
So it's amazing that you bring this up, because who was I talking to yesterday? I was in a development meeting for this Pan-African TTRPG that I'm the head designer of right now. I was talking to the team, and one of my team members like just straight up asked me, bro, how do you know so much? I am a walking thing of random trivia. It's the autism dude. So the way they can, what you're saying is so interesting and perfect, because Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, talks about a specific wind that the Spaniards talked about, and they had a name for, and it was called the Levante, which is literally the wind, the current of wind that the Spaniards called the wind that brought the Moors to Spain. Like the people that mastered sea travel before anybody else, the Moors, the Africans, the brown and black folk that traveled the seas before anybody else. The Levante is an actual name of the wind that they said carried the Moors to Spain.
And I will say we're using this mostly because it's really hard to talk about like the North Africans who and the North African Muslims who were in all of like that major section of Europe. European texts call them the Moors. That is a slur. But again, the text that most people are going to know them by is by that name.
Correct.
I'm just random tidbit. Have to throw it out there.
Absolutely.
Legally obligated.
Absolutely. So but to say that we weren't there is asinine.
It's factually incorrect.
It's asinine. So like it's so I have been told so many times that like I have a game on Thursday evenings that is, so I run 3 instances of the same fucking Curse of Strahd game, and I am miserable in each of them.
I don't understand why. I have done nothing wrong myself. So
all right, my G. So you essentially put the fear of God in this fucking like school shooter parallel character. And I love you for that. Like I love you for that.
I don't even think I rolled a check for it.
No, you just started saying, "Hey, go brush your teeth or something." I don't know what the fuck you said. It's like but you know, you got this boy some act right, and he's been acting right ever since. So I run a beginner/intermediate mode of this game for people that aren't, for new people, and it's not rules loose, but it's I really allow them to really dance outside the confines of quote unquote rules. Like, and I kind of do that for all my games, but specifically in that one because there are newer players in it, and I feel like I specialize in teaching people how to play this game. I'm very good at teaching people how to play.
You are. I've seen. I've been in games with you with 2 beginners, brand new babies, brand new people, and they
experts now. They're the best
experts.
And then I run 2 hard mode games of this. So I really take the kid gloves off, and there have been times where people have been like dancing on that line of, oh my God, we're about to die. Like I really, really put them through the ringer sometimes. But they always come through. Like the way that I told them is that on the listing for the game, it was that like survival, like horror survival mechanics that I've developed and all this other types of stuff. And that I don't make impossible encounters because, again, it's not me versus them. We're supposed to be doing this together to have an experience, a collaborative one. So if they work together, a lot of times they can succeed over any obstacle that I throw at them. Because again, I don't give credence to power fantasy. That's just not the type of environment that I want to create. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad way to play, because I know power gamers out there, you know, there's different ways to play, but I don't create a space for power fantasy. Like that's just not how I live my life, and that's not how I run my tables.
And I will say that, like, that doesn't mean that Neo doesn't allow for feats of strength shenanigans.
Oh no,
because
absolutely,
because I'm gonna use a couple instances of Skies of Awareness where I'm just
yeah, all right, go for it.
Doing bullshit. So like in the Skies of Awareness campaign, I decided to make And I'm a I do a self insert for all of my characters, but what I do is I take a facet of my personality and then turn that facet into my personality into a full dimensional character. So I took the himbo part of Bacon and made a very large, too strong for their own good, very loud orca born monk.
Love that.
Who just likes drinking, laughing, fighting. Throw
In
it
that order.
in that order. And definitely, and I told Neo, and I told everybody, and nobody believed me, that the first instance I had of physically launching myself off the ship, I'm gonna do so, especially when I found out that there's an air current around that ship that keeps you up in the air like a skydiver. And I was like, word, I was already going into more complicated stuff of like how I was going to do this. And Neo said that. And I went, oh, this is all bets are off. So did that lead into me jumping across several griffins midair and then physically wrestling one into a net? Yes.
Yes, it did.
Yes,
I forgot about that shit, actually.
Did everybody look at me like I lost my goddamn mind? Yes, but I was nothing but straightforward and honest about this from the beginning, and I don't know why people were confused. Did I also body slam a door that may or may not have had a glyph of warding? Yes. I have found every glyph of warding in all of Neo's games.
You really have, though, haven't you? You've also found every assassin that with the assassinate ability.
I have also found every assassin with the assassinate ability.
Yeah, you have.
The first time in the stomach. The second time was me returning the favor.
Absolutely, it was. It was great.
It was fantastic. I was just like, you should not have let me live. And they were very sad. And then their friends who also had the assassinate ability were also very sad.
Yeah, Bacon chased that motherfucker down and beat the living hell out of him. Sure did.
I think they went almost down, if not down, in one turn.
Oh yeah, you did not. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough for that. He had a rough day that day. That guy in particular had a rough day that day. So,
I mean, that's what you get for almost killing me.
But those are just things that I think that they're so important for not just from a representation aspect, but also just for the sake of like healing. There can be really healing moments at the table. There can also be really rough moments too. My groups have overcome a lot of different things, a lot of interpersonal things with other players and in character tribulations that they've overcome. And that's just, I don't know. It's there's something to be said for like healing through play.
That is the title of the episode. Thank you. Well done. The creative contributions never end. And yes, I had a feeling the title of the episode was coming organically, and here it is. So thank you for that. Nothing beats it when a guest names their own episode.
Damn.
Yep. You are more than listen. I'm letting you cook. Like I said before, the healing with play, healing with storytelling is of value. It's one of the reasons why the show is on the rails, because it is something that we value. We're always talking about it. We're always talking about freedom of what you play. We're always talking about playing games to your mood and always being and searching out fun versus doing anything that is prescribed for you. So because excuse me.
Yeah, it's actually the main message of the show.
Right.
Is like, and it has been since we started, because I think that's in part of how we started. Because like I was telling Neo about this the other day, our first 2 recorded episodes, they were rough, but they were they were born out of a several month never ending rant from me. First 2 episodes were basically about Mass Effect Andromeda, addressing all of the critics, and also just like they again like find games that you enjoy, play games in a way that you can enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, try something different, do something else.
Right. Games are meant to heal. This is your time, your recreation. It shouldn't become work or anything miserable, and you can uplift yourself through play more than you understand. So unfortunately, we had like a very good, but very we're going to have you come on and like, I guess, like, I don't know whether you drink or not, but whatever it is that allows you to, like, I'm not going to assume, but like whatever it is, like, excuse me.
Neil's like me, we're like one sip and toasted.
Oh, that's perfect.
Absolutely.
Oh, listen.
Honestly, I could look at it and probably be fucked up, honestly.
Right, same.
Listen, those are great because that's marvelous. If you can have a sip and you're good to go, perfect. Because we're gonna have you back on here for niggatry. But we don't. But I realize that there's no place for it here because in this introductory episode, you like I said, you're in line with the values of the show, and everything you're doing is of such value that it's just like, I'm just gonna let you cook, but also like, this is just pleasant. It's genuinely pleasant and informative. Like I said, in the show notes, there'll be proper link trees so anyone can contact you about what's going on. If there's any projects that you want us to keep an eye on, please give it a shout.
Sure. So I am working on a Pan-African TTRPG. Like I've mentioned before, I'm the lead designer of that project. So, can't talk too much about it right now, but it is something that is very fun and interesting. We are completely making a Pan-African setting that will cover the entirety of the diaspora. And we are making brand new classes and subclasses that are Pan-African in nature. That's been a lot of fun too. New monsters, new items, mounts, the whole 9 yards. I'm hoping that this will be a Pathfinder equivalent project where it may have been spawned from Dungeons and Dragons, but will eventually become its own thing and have its own identity. I'm also the Hillard University is my actual play on my streaming platforms on Twitch. If you're interested in, fantasy HBCUs, I'm having so much fun with that. We do HBCU shenanigans, homecomings, step shows, the whole 9 yards. We have so much fun. And also, like, I have a Patreon with all of my works on it, everything that I've ever created, and including Nightskins, which is on for free because Nightskins belong to the people. Also, I'm on Discord where most of my games take place, I'll say. So you can just hop into a session and just listen to us have a good time. So,
all right. I mean,
it's true. You can see the bullshit that happens, and it's not just our group that does bullshit. Every single one of these groups does bullshit.
Yeah.
I'll be all right, probably. I'll walk it off.
Listen,
it's okay. When John runs his game, John's gonna have you, me, Az, and Keon in a room.
Oh, help that poor white man. Because I'm gonna be on his neck the whole fucking campaign. I don't give a fuck. Like, Like, I have so much pent up. I'm gonna get these motherfuckers back. I have so much pent up get back in me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see Neo as a player versus Neo as a GM, which I get to see Neo as a player in Lancer right now because we have a Lancer campaign that's going, which is super fun.
Giant robots.
Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Lancer? This is the message again. But yes, where we play giant robots. But that it's a new system for most of us, so we're still learning. So like the pent up shenanigans hasn't quite made it yet. But we all know 5e. So when this white man runs that Icewind Dale campaign,
I don't know. I'm gonna just constantly like tell John I love him. I don't know. Like I'm just hey, just a reminder before we play. Thank you for your service. And my condolences, my nigga. I don't like I apologize in advance for what I'm about to do to your game's booty cheeks. I'm so sorry.
so excited.
I think, unless there is something you'd like to add, Bacon, that we will
visit also our Patreon.
I mean, that's
so
all,
that we can have lunch.
I mean, that's all. That's
probably a good idea, right?
Yes, that's all going on there. Patreon.com/UN Fridays, like United Nation Fridays, but not UN Fridays.
United Negro Fund.
The United Negro. I mean, yeah.
Actually,
United Negro Friday sounds dope as fuck, quite frankly.
United Negro Fridays for the Negroes, Najela, me, Aaron.
I actually would love to go to United Negro Friday. That sounds like a place I need to be at.
Well, yes, that was that. So I think that is it for us.
We have a show.
We have a program.
We had a professional program, Aaron.
It was
Thank y'all so much for having me.
Listen, it was a pleasure having you on.
We had a whole interview.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, I mean, it's very well done. Like I said, it's very enjoyable. Very good choice. Thank you for being on, Neo. Thank you for bullying Neo, Bacon. Like the strong arm. Like you have shockingly strong hands. The strong hand is so strong. And I appreciate all of this. And yeah, we will catch you guys on the next episode. Well, thank you guys for listening, and have a pleasant day.